Okay, we're gonna go ahead and set ourselves up for our sketches. And so let's go ahead and measure. So we're not gonna use this whole sheet of paper. In actuality, we're only gonna use a small portion of it. So I can show you some of the ones I started before. We're gonna use a small portion of it. So we can use the rest of the paper for practicing later. So we're going to measure 4 by 5 because that's going to be the size of the paper. And we're going to go to the top here. I'm going to go ahead and make a 4. So at 4, I'm going to make a tick mark. I'm going to do it at the very bottom as well. Do a 4 and connect those. So I always measure twice. And then on the very edge, I'm going to measure 5, and then measure 5 again, and connect those. So that's how big our actual drawing is going to be if we include borders. So we're going to have some extra paper for sketching, but what we want to do is create some plans. So we're going to do thumbnail sketches. So we're going to do 4 of them. Really, you're going to do 3, but you're going to do 1 with me. So I'm going to go ahead and measure and divide this into half. So half of 5 is 2.5. So I'm going to make little tick marks at 2.5. All right, so remember this is 5. So this is 2.5. And then half of 4 is 2. I'm going to do it on the end here as well. So then we're going to get ourselves 4 sketches. So you can make this into a vertical, you can make this into a horizontal. We're going to do one of these together, and then we will do 3 of them separate by ourselves first. So let's go ahead and start with a sketching pencil. So go ahead and grab either your 4H or your HB pencil. I have my HB so that you guys can see it really well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw first 3 shapes. So you can choose circles, ovals, trapezoids, squares, rectangles, whatever shape you want. I would probably not pick something super complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and do, let's see, and you're going to draw along with me, I should say. Let's go ahead and draw a big giant shape, right? And I'd like you to do at least 3 on here. So I like to have them be different sizes. Let's see, that kind of looks like a different shape. So I want them all to be kind of rounded, right? And you could do even more if you wanted to. But I'd like you to do at least 3. Right? And I want there to be very little space left over on the very top. So this very top layer is going to be our layer number 1, and we're going to leave that white. So what I would like you to do in this first sketch is just go ahead and lightly shade in all of these oval, ovoid shapes. So craftsmanship doesn't matter necessarily with this at this point since it's a sketch. We're really just focusing on composition. So we're going to do like a nice light value, and that's going to be our layer 2. Okay. So then within this, I would like you to break these up into at least 2 to 3 shapes. So I'm going to be consistent and still use these shapes. The cool thing is that you can make things kind of continue. So like if I start something here, I can add it to here too. And kind of connect those together. Let's do this here too. You can do these bigger, smaller, you can have variation in size, so they can get smaller as well. So I just want to make sure there's 2 to 3 in each of them. Okay, and so then we're going to go ahead and shade inside these ovoid shapes again, ovoid. And go another shade darker. So you can see that we're getting some visual depth here because the shapes are getting darker as they move back into space. So make sure you're copying with me. Okay, so this is layer 2. Okay, and we need to have at least 4 layers, so we're going to do again another one. So break it up and even into more shapes here. Maybe make sure this connects through. And you can go ahead and start darkening these as you go if that helps you to be able to see it. So these darkest layers are your 4s. Okay, so you can see that we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So we're going to have different values. So 1 is going to be our lightest, and we're going to leave that white. 2 is going to be light. 3 is going to be medium, and 4 is going to be dark. Now eventually we can even go in here and add some more gradations. So we can get kind of fancy. So maybe we have it where it is darker on the edge, and then it gets light kind of as it moves out. Or maybe we can do like a cast shadow from one shape into the other to show visual depth. Or even you can go crazy and add more. So if you wanted to do a layer 5, you could even go darker and use a darker pencil. So like on the sketch, I'm just using, you know, my HB pencil, but I could go to like my 6B pencil or my 4B pencil and add more depth too. So you just want to make sure on these other 3 sketches that you use different shapes or the same shapes, but in different arrangements. So like with my example, maybe what I'm going to do is kind of like more of a trapezoid shape, right? And then I can let things go off the page. And remember that you want at least 2 shapes. Right, you want to kind of fill up the space. And then, so that's layer 1, and so then in layer 2, you're going to break them up into even more, right? So to keep track of these, it's really easy, like it's much easier to kind of like do a general shading right now on the sketch, you know, and do your whole layer shading for number 2 first. And then you can go a little bit darker for 3. Okay, but don't steal my idea, right? You may not use this one, right? This is just the practice.